we as human beings at that particular period were operating at 56% above Earth's biocapacity. It means that we are operating 56% more times than the Earth is able to regenerate itself. Sustainability as a field actually attracts professionals from all backgrounds, whether you're in finance, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in environment, in safety. There has to be impact, and then there has to be a story. Sometimes you have impact, but you have no story.
Sometimes it's not about the product, it's the individual. How do I draw this individual? How do I make them, long-term customers? It's through what you're giving back to the environment, to the people.
I'm Vivian Boaz, and this is the 𝐂𝐻S Unplugged Podcast, the show where we share tips on home and workplace safety, environmental sustainability, and health and wellness tips. Join us as we explore these topics with industry experts and learn to create a safer and healthier world.
Hi guys, my name is Vivian Boaz, and welcome back to another episode of the 𝐂𝐻S Unplugged Podcast. Today, we're bringing you one of the most progressive circularity stories in Kenya's manufacturing sector, the Chasing Zero initiative. Now, at the center of this initiative is our guest, and is the one driving the company's vision around sustainable manufacturing. In this episode, we're going to unpack what sparked this initiative, what circularity looks like on ground, and how it's pushing boundaries around the areas of environment, health and safety, partnerships, and SDGs. Karibuni sana. But first, I'll let our guest introduce himself. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Vivian. My name is Oscar Obonyo. As you have said, progressive circular economy champion. So I'm an environmentalist by training. So I have explored the diverse fields of environment, safety, currently in sustainability. And while chasing impact, there's a lot of things I do at it. So it's basically aligning businesses to compliance. And in my spare time, I try and bring art into sustainability. I'm also a poet. I'm a songwriter. I'd say an intermittent upcoming guitarist. So I do a lot of things within the art frontier, but hopefully to champion sustainability when it goes out there.
Thank you so much. I thought you were going to say intermittent fasting.
Oh, no.
I thought, do you have any music out right now on YouTube?
No, but expect some soon. I will have mentioned groups I have worked with before, but it was nothing to do with sustainability.
No, just tell us, because people always think, I normally bring here OSH professionals, and people think it's too technical. We are boring individuals. And for you to mention you're passionate about art, that's big. So just tell them you're not boring people.
All right. I have a shout out to Halisi, the band. I don't know where you are today. A very upcoming group. I think they did quite a lot in the music space. Hoping they come back. If we get the opportunity to work with them again, hopefully this time in championing something for us, for the environment, for the people, political voices, social voices, empowerment, well and good. I'd be very happy to work with even a diverse number of artists out here, because I think there's a very big need to rally people towards things that are pressing in our present day environment. And when you talk about sustainability, it's cross-cutting. When you talk politics, sustainability comes in. When you talk employment, the domestic setup, if we are talking about social injustices, it's sustainability. When you're talking about unemployment, we're talking about sustainability. So I think art has a significant role to play in it, all the way to corporate sustainability. And when we find that niche, we'll hammer it. Yes.
Thank you so much for that, Oscar. But I think one of the things my audience wants to know is, which company do you work for? Because in your intro, you didn't mention your employer.
Oh,
Because
Yeah,
we would
I was
want to
coming to
know
that.
if I'm a sustainability professional, which of these companies should I be targeting?
Oh, saving the cream for the last. Well, I work as an environment and sustainability manager at HACO Industries Limited. If you see us in our social spaces or in any other social spaces, you probably recognize us as champions in sustainable manufacturing, okay? Not just your regular manufacturer. So that's where we are strongly at. And that's my day-to-day job, just making sure that our business processes are pursuing impact on a day-to-day basis, both environmental, social, and of course, making money at the end of the day. Yes.
I mean, I just love how you are promoting the brand HACO. We don't get that very much with employees, so that's a big deal. Now, I was watching you as you're introducing yourself.
All right.
Your smile is bigger when you're talking about sustainability. What drew you to sustainability?
Well, let's go back to 2019.
COVID period.
Yeah, pre-COVID. And I had just watched a horror movie and I wanted to go to sleep, but, my phone is my best friend. And so I'm Googling. I'm an environmentalist by then, still a corporate environmentalist. And I come across a piece, not an article, it's a report. It's called the Living Planet Report. And it's prepared by WWF. And there is a statement that captured my mind. We as human beings at that particular period were operating at 56% above Earth's biocapacity. What does that mean? It means that we are operating 56% more times than the Earth is able to regenerate itself. I mean, we are living in 1.5 Earths in one Earth. I mean, that's unsustainable. And I'm wondering, okay, I read a lot. I mean, I know a lot, but how comes I've never come across this information? What the hell is going on? And therefore, I delve further into the report and I can see there's a lot of businesses coming in, making commitments on how they want to make their products sustainable, how they want to impact communities, how we want to achieve from a business and a political level a world that is more sustainable. So it means we are acknowledging we have already degraded it. So what is it that we have done that we are looking to reverse? And I'm trying to look at business commitments. I'm trying to look at political commitments, and issues just start coming up. How are we managing waste? How are we managing our emissions? How are we managing our water resources? How do we interact with energy? And so I realized that, okay, all this time I have been an environmentalist for compliance, but I can actually be an environmentalist for impact. That space is what we call the sustainability space. That is simply how my journey began that night. Yeah.
Impressive. I mean, this is new because I never hear such stories here. Usually for most people, it's I ended up here because of the opportunity presented itself. So yours is all about impact. Amazing.
It's all about impact, and then curiosity now just sets in. What am I doing with my current employer? Over and above compliance, are we making any impact to the environment? Are we making any impact to the communities we interact with? You don't need to be a social outfit to pursue social impact. What does our governance structure looks like? What role am I playing in ensuring that before we even talk about a sustainable world, we are operating a sustainable business? And so I just predispose myself out there to a lot of learning material about sustainability. And now I get a good picture of where the globe is at. And then I start getting a picture of where we are at as a country. And you find that for us, we're still in the process of developing a lot of legislations. People are trying to figure out, what do I need to study to become a sustainability professional. I mean, there's no university you walk into and it says we have a Bachelor of Science in ESG or a Bachelor of Arts in Sustainability. There's nothing like that. I mean, I'd appreciate today we have a lot of professional courses or this short-term postgraduate diplomas, but that wasn't the case. That is because sustainability as a field, it actually attracts professionals from all backgrounds, whether you're in finance, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in environment, in safety. You are a perfect candidate for it because there is a role that you're playing in your business, and therefore you have a responsibility in making sure that your business is operating in a way that it meets its current needs, but is also able to support a whole other generation of employees, business leaders, clientele, your consumers. It's able to be there hundreds of generations after what is present is gone. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I want us to come back later to the legislative gaps.
All right.
And then, what we can do, anyone who wants to become a sustainability professional in the country. But I want us to go back to HACO. What does sustainability look like at HACO?
Well, we are a manufacturer. Say we are a very proud FMCG. So sustainability for us as a business outfit is holistic and cross-cutting. It's not just what we do in the office or in the factories when we pop in there at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. It begins from our entire value chain, all the way from the supply chain, all the way from the farmer who provides us with the natural oils, which are the raw material for ingredients. So we are talking about sustainable sourcing. What is sustainable sourcing? The farmers that are planting these herbs or these trees or these fruits, what kind of agriculture are they practicing? Is it regenerative agriculture? What type of farm inputs are they using? Are they using prescribed farm inputs, chemicals that have been banned? Are they earning good living wages? Is there issues of child labor, forced labor? Are they underpaid? I mean, what does the life and livelihood of that farmer look like, so that they are able to farm something that is acceptable to us as a business? When it comes to us, there is now the process of product formulation. We have a whole fully fledged research and development department, and they're making formulations for our lotions, our home care products, and they're using natural oils through a cold process. That means that when that natural oil comes to us, we don't want to lose any nutrient that comes from that herb or that fruit or that plant. Okay? So once it has been formulated well, and then it's undertaken through the entire manufacturing process, of course, there's a lot of quality controls. You look at what facility is it in that we are manufacturing that product. We use energy. What are we using to drive our energy needs? Of course, it comes with a lot of emissions. Do we have any investments in renewable energy? Of course, we are using solar in our factories, in both our factories now. Look at our packaging, because we also prepare packaging for that product. Incorporate the 5 R's: reduce, recycle, reuse. I mean, are we integrating reduced packaging material into our products? If it's not achievable, what about the waste that comes from the manufacturing of that primary packaging? In our plastics factory right now, whatever plastic waste comes from the manufacturing process, we recycle it. So it does not even find its way into a bin within that compound. So we reintegrate it back into the manufacturing process, meaning that all our bottles from factory level constitute of 20% recycled material. So that is how we are managing waste in that front. How is the well-being of the employees, their safety, their wages, when it comes from there? How do we stack all these materials in our warehouses? What is the delivery time to the consumer? And then you monitor What feedback are the consumers giving us? Is it positive? Do we have challenges? How fast does it take for us to resolve those challenges, our turnaround time? That is the whole picture of sustainability in a manufacturing setup. So it's all departments, all employees, all our stakeholders working in tandem to make sure that our entire business process, through the value chain and through what we do in our specific facility, that it's acceptable both to us, to our consumers, and generally for our environment. Yes.
That's impressive. Now, Oscar, there's something you've raised as you're responding to that question, your supply chain. That's huge. But when you look at sustainability, it's a bit more technical.
Yes.
Even the goals that you develop around that, it's usually very technical for your supply chain to understand, especially the farmers on the ground. So how do you communicate your sustainability goals to these individuals?
Good. So it is good to appreciate that we have a very large supply chain, and a huge chunk of it consists of farmers, okay? Not directly with us. Of course, we use aggregators who constitute small and medium enterprises, and then they have a whole network of over 35,000 farmers. So these aggregators are not the only concern for us. Of course, they also have a value chain. So that value chain is of concern to us. So that is where our supply chain begins from. So what kind of education is it that these farmers can get on proper farming practices? Do they have access to proper credit facilities? Do they have access to good wages, to medical covers, and all that? So that is supposed to be guaranteed by their immediate employer, who is the aggregator. And that immediate employer, mark you, is still an SME. When you're talking about an SME, you would not really force them to want to create environmental and social impact because, let's face it, in Kenya, as an SME, you are looking to stay afloat.
Yeah.
So
it's all about
your
profits.
core business is money.
Yes.
And then you as an SME, you now have us as HACO, as a client. So we ask you, what is it that your farmers need? What are the challenges that they're experiencing? How is it that we can come in to assist you, at least alleviate those challenges so that your values as an SME, that the practices of your farmers align with the overall business values of HACO, so that we're not sustainable in part, but across the entire chain. Once that is articulated to us, of course, we have robust networks and partnerships, financial institutions, maybe capacity building entities who might be CBOs. Then we link up and we find ways to access these SMEs, ways to access these farmers, impart what it is that needs to be imparted to them. At the end of the day, they need to know that this crop that I'm farming, I'm not just farming it to make money, okay? There is an end product to it. I have baobab oil, I have canola oil, I have sunflower oil. It's making a lotion that is probably landing in State House, you know? And if I walk into a shop, I can see a lotion and I can see, canola is an ingredient in it. I farm canola. So whatever has come out of my hands is now at the shop. I can still use it for the same hands, go back to the farm. Then across the chain, we also come back and help those of us who are now on this other side of the spectrum to understand the way you handle this oil, the way you process it, the way you formulate the product, the way you package it, the way you label it, the way you allow it to reach to trade, to access trade. Whatever revenue comes from that product in one way or another ends up back in the hands of that farmer. So if you wake up in the morning to come package a product, there is a farmer somewhere in Makueni who is able to pay school fees for their child. It's a whole ecosystem.
You know, one of the questions people ask me a lot is, how does sustainability align with the SDGs? And one of the ones that you've mentioned is SDG number 8, which I'm very passionate about, decent work and
economic growth.
Exactly. It's very good to see, it's impressive actually to see a company that's able to focus on fair pay, quality jobs and jobs dignified.
Yes.
And that's something that Kenya is really pursuing. If you look at Vision 2030, the whole document, at the center of it is decent work. So I'm really glad we're having this conversation. But just to build on that, how does sustainability align with these other SDGs?
Well, it's quite a lot.
Because I know you've mentioned some already.
It's decent
quite a lot.
It's
Captured,
quite a lot.
Environment, yes.
So when I was initially explaining what sustainability looks like in the business, I have talked about solar input for us.
Yeah.
And we have 2 factories. We have one that manufactures the packaging, and then we have one that manufactures the product. As we speak currently, both factories are powered using solar panels. Now, if you drop back down, well, over and above it, one will say that, okay, if you use solar, you're minimizing the quantum you spend on purchasing electricity from the grid, okay? So it's a business win. If you look at a more sustainable approach, there is what we call our Scope 2 emissions. Scope 2 emissions are the emissions that you make as a business, not directly, but from purchased power.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you use solar, because solar is clean, you effectively eliminate what it is that you are using. The same quantity of energy that your solar is generating and you are consuming is now an offset of the same amount of energy you will have otherwise been consuming from the grid. So if I'm talking about carbon accounting, I can say for Scope 2 emissions, our factories are doing quite well with that regard. So we are impacting an SDG there.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Clean and affordable energy.
Energy, yes.
There is also the aspect of responsible consumption and production, which is one of our biggest SDGs. That is SDG number 12. So it comes from how we interact with energy, especially on the front of solar. It also comes with how we handle our waste material, because at the factory level, when I explained that a portion of the packaging production that would have otherwise been waste that is reintegrated into the manufacturing process, that means that, to get to the numbers, we do recycling of around 19 metric tons per month. Okay? So I'm thinking, if we were discarding this to the landfill, that means there will be need to import another 19 metric tons of plastics in order to do manufacturing, responsible production. All right? And then over and above that, just to effect the same SDG number 12, we jump into SDG number 17, which is partnership for the goals. So that means that we are not an island in this space. There are partners who we've collaborated with in order to realize value. For example, pro-green innovations who convert plastic material into eco-fuel. And then we reutilize that fuel back into our manufacturing process. You see, there is money saved in terms of waste that could have been disposed but is reconverted. There is money saved in terms of fuel that is purchased, which is eco-friendly and is cheaper than the conventional forecourt fuel. And then there is also a whole host of environmental and social impact on this other side of the spectrum. I mean, there's employment on the pro-green side. There is displacement of waste from landfills. And then there is also emission offsets from the plastics that would have been there in the landfills and emitting for hundreds of years. So they are now taken out of the environment and they are destroyed and they become something that can be used back in our processes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, you're preempting Oscar because I wanted to ask you that question later about the pro-green, but I want to take you back. The 3 scopes, scope 1, 2, 3. You've talked about scope 2. Most of us really don't know when you're talking about scope 1, 2, and 3 that you're tracking as HACO. What are they exactly? Take us through that.
Well, the business emissions or any other emission for that matter is divided into 3 scopes. So scope 1 are your direct emissions. These are emissions from all sources that you own as a business. So if you own a vehicle, it's emitting. That's a scope 1 emission. If you own a refrigerator, a chiller, a generator, a boiler, an air conditioning unit, even a cooking gas cylinder, any emission that comes from property or material that you own is a scope 1 emission. Okay? A scope 2 emission is emission that comes from energy that you purchase or cooling that you purchase. So you're not emitting it directly, but you're purchasing something from a producer who has emitted at their own source. Okay? And then we have scope 3 emissions. These are emissions within the value chain. So if your supplier is bringing goods to your business and they bring it using a vehicle, the emissions attached to that vehicle are your scope 3 emissions. Okay? It's a bit tricky. It's the supplier's scope 1 emission, but to you it's your scope 3.
Yeah.
If somebody is storing goods for you, any emissions associated with that storage, that's your scope 3 emissions. Your employees who are commuting to work, whatever emissions that are incurred along the road when they leave and when they come, those are your scope 3 emissions. Your distributors, when they pick your products from your warehouses and take it to trade, those are scope 3 emissions. So any emission that is outside whatever you own and is outside the energy or cooling that you purchase, that is a scope 3 emission. Yes.
Thank you. That was for my audience. Now, thank you so much for sharing, what sustainability looks like within HACO, what it means to you and all the scopes that you're tracking. Now, the ProGreen strategy. I know this is a project that you're very passionate about.
Sure.
I really tell us how this was sparked.
Well, you have 2 businesses. Fundamentally different in what they're doing in the economic space, headed by 2 visionaries, 2 entrepreneurs, and then there is necessity in between. So one is HACO Industries, and HACO is championing for sustainable manufacturing. And we have already picked that there is an issue when it comes to energy consumption. Yes, we want to make it more sustainable and any other benefits that come alongside that. Now, there's an innovator on this other side who sees waste as a problem and wants to develop a solution for it, but he does not want to go the conventional way of recycling. Of the 5 R's, he has chosen to reduce. I see plastic and I want to completely eliminate it out of the environment. But I want there to be a very beneficial byproduct from it. So what do I do? At the point of HACO and ProGreen meeting, ProGreen had not yet commercialized what we call the eco fuel. Okay? Well, he had developed it. It was up and running, and it was being consumed by a lot of the local residents in Kenoltown. And so when HACO spotted ProGreen, we were looking to uptake that in a business sense. Okay? Now, there's a risk here because now this has not been tried by anybody. Well, there's the proper papers. It's 𝐂�ψ certified. It's EPRA certified. I mean, the numbers are checking. Okay? But then there is this mindset. We are moving from waste to fuel. So we go, and the innovator, he's called engineer James Moritu. He wants to conduct a demonstration. And he says, my fuel is so good. Okay? It's not just for boilers. You can use it in generators. You can also use it in your fleet. He says, but I will demonstrate it for you so that you don't demonstrate it for yourself. So he has a day leaf generator, the Davison Shutleaf. It's a very sensitive generator. So if you put adulterated fuel into it, you'll most likely break it. Okay? So he conducts the tests in his day-lift generator. He says, see, running perfectly. Did we talk about fleet? Yes. Oh, here is my car. Puts the fuel in his vehicle. All right? Okay. So the fuel, well, I'd not say it's completely cleared for fleet use, but it is that good. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So it means that he has refined it to a point that it achieves what your conventional forecourt fuel does for you. And that is good enough, when it's being tested and the papers check out and the practicals check out and we say, okay, we want a few liters for us to go and undertake trials in our business. Now, when you go back to the business, again, you are going to meet technicians, you're going to meet engineers.
Yeah.
I mean, we are running generators whose investment costs are significantly high. And you're coming in and you want to put fuel in that generator made from waste. If you break it,
it's on you.
there is a problem, right? And I thank God our managing director is not an engineer. She's a business lady. Business people are very prone to taking risks.
Yes.
And she says, what are we doing as a business? Are we not driving sustainable manufacturing? Try that fuel. If it works, we use it. You do not have the luxury of waiting for other people to try it for you. And we undertake our own industrial trials, and they are a success. And therefore, we uptake it. Now, a good thing about ProGreen is that they make this fuel. Well, it's a blend of plastic waste and biomass. Okay? So it's a polyfuel and a biofuel. But it's not exclusively one of either. So we are now calling it an eco-fuel because it has all components. It's a biofuel, and again, it's addressing the plastic waste issue. Do we have plastic waste from our factory processes that we cannot recycle in-house? Yes, we do. But now, you do not have to go through the headache of we are looking for another recycler again. There's somebody who has hacked the waste to energy debacle, and he is now able to do it. He's able to convert your waste into fuel and return it back to you, and you can use it. So we have moved from recycling to circularity, okay?
Yeah.
Because at some point, what was waste was raw material, okay? We used it for whatever reason, found its way to our yard. Now it needs disposal, but that's not its end of life. We're now channeling it to ProGreen. ProGreen is converting it. It's coming back into HACO as a raw material still, okay? So it's a closed loop for waste management, and it has worked pretty well ever since we got into that partnership. I mean, it has been incredibly impactful for both sides, and so far so good. That's our success story, and his also.
Something you've mentioned too. Do you think this was easily accepted within the company because of buy-in from your top management? I mean, if they were a bit skeptical of the idea, do you think you would be with ProGreen right now?
One thing I usually appreciate is, as you have said, top management, and there is a significant buy-in. I'd begin from the board in what the business undertakes that constitutes a sustainable practice. And then it trickles down all the way to the managing director's office. She is in fact a circularity champion in Kenya. Last year during the 𝐂𝐴𝐸 Awards, she emerged as a circularity leader in the manufacturing space. So yeah, hers was an automatic blessing. Then you come back to the manufacturing space. Of course, our manufacturing director is also a forward thinker, and he also has very significant knowledge in what sustainable manufacturing looks like. So it's a tick there also. But then, these are not the only people that are driving the business.
Exactly.
Right? there are technicians in there who are going to be actively monitoring the equipment that uses that fuel. We have a procurement team that is the one that is supposed to be dealing with that company in taking in this fuel for the business. There are the processors, when you put this fuel in a boiler, we want to generate steam. Is it going to generate the same amount of steam that we generate when we use conventional diesel? So everyone is skeptical. Knowledge, attitude, and practices. Do they know what this is all about? For an engineer, it is easy. You bring them test results from EPRA. You bring them that clearance. You bring them test results from KEBS. You bring them the clearance. You demonstrate the trials to them. I mean, it's more of practicality, what it is that we can see. We don't want stories, okay? And once they see that, they say, okay, let us see how this goes, all right? So it's not something you force to them. You get their buy-in. Tell them, this could be the future of our process, okay? But let us begin. I know we can make mistakes. Mistakes sometimes are made, but let us just begin. This is what the future looks like for us. This is what costs look like for us, And, if you are running a sustainable supply chain, if you're in the procurement office, part of it is to make sure that you're also balancing your costs, okay? And if you have a solution for that, environmental impact, social impact, and then the business is making good quantum for it. I mean, you have balanced it. You have achieved sustainability, at least on that front. And so there was a lot of education, a lot of training, a lot of convincing to be done. Not everybody accepted it at the same time, but it has run for a significant period and everybody's heart is now relaxed. And I call that a win because now they can also tell the story in their own words. They don't have to say, enda uliza Oscar, akuambie hiyo mafuta inafanya. They have experienced it and they know. And they'd sit down and say, when are we getting our next consignment?
Oscar, this is a very good success story. So is this information that you are sharing with other manufacturers within the same sector,
We are. And part of SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals, I'd proudly indicate that as a business, we are a member of the United Nations Global Compact, specifically the Global Compact Network of Kenya. So it comprises a lot of businesses from diverse sectors. And what the Global Compact Network does is that it provides diverse businesses platforms to come together, share best practices, share challenges, learn from each other, network, develop solutions for these industry challenges that are becoming a headache always. And we get the opportunity every now and then to highlight these stories to them. And it's one that is received well. Action that is being taken within the waste space is significant. And I wouldn't say that there is one that is greater than the other. All people that are playing within the space of the 5 Rs and innovating within them are actually developing solutions for 1/3 of the triple planetary crisis, which is pollution and waste. And because we have gotten the opportunity to spread that message out to other businesses, it's encouraging to know that, okay, solutions can be developed by innovators out here and then embraced by businesses because, these businesses play a very critical role in supporting other ecosystems out there. You're supporting a whole ecosystem of waste pickers out there. They might not even know it, but you are. So if all businesses get into that space, partner with at least one person who brings waste to value. It creates a very big chain of industrial symbiosis and it impacts on so many livelihoods across so many sectors. And I think several other businesses are also doing things around that, around waste management. And I think HACO story is one that I feel should even be louder.
I know, that's why we're here.
And it is right now. And I'm glad that it has, I'd say that story has reached a significant portion of Murang'a. It has gained a lot of traction, actually. There are investors who have actually picked the issue up and will be interested in trying to scale those operations out. I know Murang'a County, which is very progressive, has also picked it up and are always in the conversation of how can we expand this whole innovation so that we have more of our dry plastic waste being channeled towards conversion into energy. And it has also trickled down to, we say mama mboga. Because if you walk to Kenol town right now, you will find people using the eco fuel, either in their farms, in their motorbikes, in their generators. I mean, if they have anything that needs fuel, you will likely find them using that eco fuel. It means they have also tried it and they have known this is economical for us and it's environmentally friendly. And then they become the grassroots champion for change. And it's good if that story comes all the way from the corporate tables into the households. Then it means that we are really realizing impact.
As it should.
That's all there is to it.